Roger, good morning. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Carl.
You and I, we've literally talked for years about the day in which daily active users might finally flatten out and then go negative. We're now here. Why is it happening, and is it material to the issues we've talked about in the past?
So, Carl, the incredible thing is that I believe that the slowdown in daily active users, the decline in them, is actually by no means the largest issue Facebook has faced here. You know, obviously, when you get to 3 billion human beings with a computer system, you're pretty much at the limit of what the market will give you, particularly if your products are not brand new and people are not embracing them, you know, the way they're embracing newer things like TikTok. I think Facebook's got 3 problems, right? Competition, Apple, particularly the application tracking transparency tool that Apple introduced last year, and virtual reality. And all 3 of those things are a huge drag. And I think from an investor perspective, the thing that's difficult is it's hard to imagine that any of these improves anytime soon.
Well, I was just going to ask you, on TikTok, is there the possibility that the government might put the squeeze on ByteDance the way they've done to some smaller Chinese names in the energy and tech space, for example? On iOS, they've talked about workarounds that would satisfy advertisers. Aren't there remedies for at least those 2 things?
I will have to see. So relative to ByteDance, I do think there is indeed a very significant risk from TikTok's point of view that the United States takes a more harsh position relative to Chinese-owned companies. The practical problem from a national security perspective is that the U.S. data markets are freely open to anyone, including the Chinese. So the Chinese can get all the data they want from data brokers or, you know, through advertising on Google and Facebook. So they don't actually need TikTok for any of that stuff. But that doesn't mean this isn't going to be a football. The real issue from Facebook's point of view, though, is that the functionality of TikTok is what young people want, right? Products like Instagram no longer have the it factor that young people want. And that's a huge problem. And, you know, relative to the Apple side, I think we're going to have to see. The issue that Apple is put forward is that consumers are being harmed from the data economy. This thing called surveillance capitalism is allowing corporations and, frankly, bad political actors to manipulate human behavior and to take people's opportunities and choices away. That's a really big policy issue. So I think it is just as likely that the European action that we saw yesterday, where they ruled that the industry's consent form was illegal, that is to say not compliant with the General Data Protection Regulation, if that survives appeal, that's going to be far more damaging than what Apple did, because that will suggest that all the data taken in the last 5 or 6 years will have to be expunged from the systems. So I don't think that issue, you know, it may not be application tracking transparency that Facebook has to worry about, but I do think it has to worry about changes in the environment that make it more difficult to do the kind of targeted advertising the company has prospered from.